The US dollar, it's the currency everyone knows. Most international transactions are done in dollars, making it the world's reserve currency. But is this about to change? The US has a massive and growing debt. Every 100 days, an additional $1 trillion is added to the debt. Interest payments on this debt are rising, making some people nervous. Could the dollar lose its top spot? A strong dollar keeps prices down for American consumers and allows us to borrow money more cheaply. If the dollar weakens, it could have serious consequences for our economy, like inflation spikes and rising interest rates. However, the US economy is still the largest in the world, and the dollar benefits from this strength. It also enjoys a stable political system, making it attractive to investors worldwide. So, is the dollar about to collapse? Probably not, but its dominance is being challenged. We need to pay attention to these challenges and address the issues raising concerns. The future of our economy could depend on it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, US debt. It's huge and growing. Currently, the US government spends more on interest payments than on wars in over 9 countries, including recent commitments to Israel, Ukraine, Yemen, and Syria. This unprecedented expenditure on interest is alarming and unsustainable. Every year, the government spends more than it takes in, creating a budget deficit. To cover this deficit, the government borrows money by issuing treasury bonds, which are essentially IOUs. The more debt the government takes on, the more it has to pay in interest, and right now, those interest payments are increasing because interest rates are rising. In 2023, the interest payment for the debt is $1.1 trillion, and it is expected to rise to $1.6 trillion in 2024. When rates go up, so do the interest payments on that mountain of debt. This is a big deal because that money going to interest payments can't be used for other things like education, infrastructure, and national defense. As those interest payments take up a bigger slice of the budget pie, something has to give. This situation is not sustainable in the long term. We can't keep borrowing and spending like this forever. Eventually, something has to change. We need to get our fiscal house in order, reduce spending, and start chipping away at that debt. If we don't, the consequences could be severe. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Back in the day, the US government was more fiscally responsible. They spent less and saved more. But somewhere along the line, things changed. We entered an era of big government spending. Now, I'm not saying all government spending is bad. Investing in education, infrastructure, and research is crucial, but we need to be smart about it. We need to make sure we're getting a good return on our investment. The problem is that we're spending more than we can afford and putting it all on the national credit card. This has become a bipartisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans have contributed to this spending spree. We need to learn from the past and get back to basics. We need to prioritize fiscal responsibility, which means making tough choices, cutting back on unnecessary spending, and finding ways to increase revenue. It's time to stop kicking the can down the road and address this issue head-on. Our economic future depends on it. Section 4, Zero Hedge, sounds the alarm. Is anyone listening? Zero Hedge is a financial website known for its alternative, often pessimistic views. They've been sounding the alarm on US debt and interest payments for years, arguing that the situation is far worse than the government is letting on. According to Zero Hedge, US debt interest payments hit a record $1.1 trillion in late 2023 and are rising at an alarming pace. The debt is growing by $1 trillion every 3 months. This rapid increase could jeopardize the dollar's reserve status. They believe the US is on a path to financial ruin, pointing to rising debt levels and increasing interest payments as evidence. Now, I don't always agree with Zero Hedge. They tend to be a bit on the doomsday side. But they raise some valid points. We can't just ignore their warnings. We need to take them seriously and consider their perspective. Even if they're only partially right, the consequences could be dire. We need to have a serious conversation about US debt and interest payments. We need to find a sustainable path forward. Section 5. Reserve currency 101. What it is and why it matters. Let's talk about reserve currencies. It sounds complicated, but it's not. A reserve currency is a stable and widely used currency held by central banks around the world. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency, meaning other countries use it for trade and investment. It's like the global currency of choice. Why is this important? Because it gives the US a lot of power and influence. It also provides some economic advantages, like allowing us to borrow money more cheaply and helping keep inflation in check. However, being the reserve currency isn't a free pass. It comes with responsibilities. The US needs to maintain a stable economy and a sound financial system. If we don't, other countries may start to lose faith in the dollar, which could have serious consequences for our economy. Despite the challenges, the US dollar still enjoys some significant advantages. These advantages have kept it as the world's leading currency for so long. First, the US economy is still the largest in the world. It's diverse and dynamic, providing a solid foundation for the dollar. Second, the US has a stable political system and has never defaulted on its debt. This stability makes the dollar attractive to investors worldwide who see it as a safe haven. Third, the US has deep and liquid financial markets, making it easy to buy and sell dollars. This ease of use makes it a convenient currency for international transactions. These advantages have helped to keep the dollar strong, but we can't take them for granted. We need to address the challenges facing the dollar and ensure that it remains a reliable and stable currency. Scene 7. The US dollar's reserve currency status under threat. As the global economic landscape shifts, the US dollar's status as the world's reserve currency faces unprecedented challenges. Over the weekend, a startling report revealed that US interest payments are projected to reach $1.6 trillion by year-end. This would make it the largest expenditure in the US government's budget, surpassing even defense spending and funding for multiple international conflicts. What does this mean for the future of the greenback? One of the primary threats comes from emerging economies like China, which have been actively promoting the use of the yuan in international trade. Initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative and the establishment of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank aim to reduce reliance on the dollar. Additionally, digital currencies are gaining traction. Central banks around the world, including the European Central Bank and the People's Bank of China, are developing their own digital currencies. These digital alternatives could further diminish the dollar's dominance. Moreover, geopolitical tensions and trade wars have prompted countries to seek alternatives to the dollar to mitigate risks. Russia, for instance, has been increasing its gold reserves and shifting away from dollar-denominated assets. Even within the US, there's growing concern. Some policymakers argue that the Federal Reserve's monetary policies, including quantitative easing and low interest rates, could undermine the long-term stability of the dollar. These developments raise critical questions. Can the US adapt to these evolving dynamics and maintain the dollar's reserve currency status? Or are we on the brink of a new financial era where the dollar's dominance wanes? The answers to these questions will shape the future of the global economy. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the implications and potential outcomes of this significant shift. Don't miss out on the latest market updates and insights. Like, share and subscribe to stay informed about the financial trends that could impact your future. Join the conversation and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Engaging question. Do you think the US dollar can retain its status as the global reserve currency? Or are we headed towards a financial crisis? Share your opinions and predictions in the comments.